In this video, I will give an example and an explanation of why rich and productive countries speak alarm languages and why the alarm sounds in these languages increase motivation and drive, allowing them to be industrious and productive. So let's have a look at alarm sounds in nature, and then let's compare these alarm sounds to the alarm sounds in languages of rich and productive countries, such as, for instance, German, English, and Chinese Mandarin. The first example is an alarm or distress call produced by a magpie bird. Next, we have a distress call or alarm sound produced by a rat. The next example of a distress call or alarm call is that of a koala. And the final example is that of a cottontail rabbit. We can see that the distress or alarm sounds have a lot of similarity to that of a human cry or scream. And here is an example of a human scream. When listening to or when producing distress or alarm calls, we become somewhat distressed or alarmed ourselves. In fact, alarm or distress calls automatically prepare us for fight or flight, where a person or animal becomes more alert, focused, and attentive to the environment. Here we have an example of such behavior in a deer, where it's listening to distress calls, and you can see how its head is raised so it can see better. Ears are also raised to focus on the sounds. Its eyes are widely open to maximize its vision, and its movements are nervous and very alert. The question then is, can such distress or alarm calls exist in languages such as, for instance, German, English, or Chinese? The simple answer is yes, they can exist in less extreme form. So normal alarm or distress calls sound like ah, ee, ow, I, a, an. However, the less intense version of these distress or alarm calls are a, e, ow, I, a, an. So let's look at some examples of German words where there are this type of alarm sounds.
Eins, eins, zwei, zwei, drei, drei.
Here we have the first three numbers in the German language. Eins stands for one, zwei stands for two, and drei stands for three. Part of the word eins is ein, and that part is the distress alarm call. Ein, 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 ein. Also, the numbers zwei and drei have the I distress or alarm components. English also has a lot of alarm sounds in it. as it is a Germanic language. However, the German language contains slightly more intense alarm sounds, and this explains why the German society is more economically competitive. So let's look at some examples of English words where there are this type of alarm sounds.
Why? Why? Why?
Chain, chain, and chain.
In the word why, the part that is distress or alarm call is actually the entire word. Why? Why? Part of the word chain is ein, and that part is the distress or alarm call. Ein. Chinese Mandarin is perhaps the most intense alarm language in the world, where almost all words contain alarm sounds, and that is why China is such a major economic power. Let's take a look at some examples of Chinese words and the alarm components in these words.
票，票，票。水，水，水。船，船，船。
Here we have three Chinese Mandarin words. The first word is piao. Part of the word piao is yao, and that is the distress or alarm sound. Yao, 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 yao. The next Chinese word is shui, and part of shui is wei, wei, and that part is the alarm sound. Wei, 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 wei. The final word from Chinese Mandarin is chuan. Part of the word chuan is wan, and it is that part which is the distress or alarm sound. Wan, 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 wan. Germany, England, China, and virtually every country which is highly productive and wealthy speak languages which have a large number of words with alarm or distress parts in them. And these sounds make the productive and wealthy societies more focused and attentive. Just like the deer in the following video is more focused, attentive, and alert to danger when listening to alarm calls. In summary, German, Chinese, and English societies are highly productive because the alarm calls in their languages cause the Germans, English, and Chinese to be highly focused, attentive, and worried. If you would like to look into this idea a bit more closely, please look at one of my book versions on the topic. Evolutionary Alarm Sounds Within Languages is the first version. Frighten the World into Prosperity is the second version. And Motivate Poor Countries to Develop is the third version. To illustrate that poor and unproductive countries speak languages which do not possess many alarm sounds, here is an example of Hindi language from India, a country which is relatively poor. I would like to draw your attention to the idea that when you listen to a foreign language and it sounds a little bit like then without knowing the language or society, you can be sure that the place where these people come from is very poor and unproductive because that language does not possess a high concentration of alarm or distress sounds.
ऐसा कुछ मैं बोल रहा नहीं, उसको हिंदी ठीक से समझता नहीं है, इससे बड़ा पागल है बेवकूफ इंसान मैं जिंदगी में देखा.
To illustrate how the Germans pronounce words in a highly alarm or distress way, here is a funny video of a person called Elliot Loney, who impersonates a famous Austrian tennis player Dominic Thiem, exaggerating how Dominic speaks in English in a very intense alarm way and at the same time showing a very intense alert facial expressions.
Hello, my name is Dominic Thiem. Obviously, winning the US Open title has completely changed my life and I am so happy that I can honestly say I've never smiled quite like this. To my opponent in the final, Alex van der Zverev, I'm sorry you came up a little short. You're a very talented player and your time to win a Grand Slam title will definitely come. To my team, and when I say team, I'm not referring to myself in third person. Get it?